is a Hilula of famous Rabbi Ephraim Ardit, who was actually a great Turkish rabbi in of his time. Now, it's reported that he was born right at the start of the 18th century in the year 1700, passed away around 1768. I see somewhere else it says 1767, respectively. He was a great rabbi. He was an author. He was a Turkish rabbi from Izmir. Remember, that was a golden, let's just say, area of Torah bastion learning at that point in time. And he was the author of the Torah cluster work called the Mateh Ephraim, a great work into itself. Now, he was born in 1700, tough summer, and came from great rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rabbi Ephraim Ardit, I believe. And he would work in trade, I believe, and quickly would pile up his Torah learning yeshiva, and I think among the great yeshivot of the year, Torah Study Academy hold in that city, respectively, and will really rise up in Torah greatness until he'll become the rabbi of the city, respectively, at that stage in time. Now, in Izmir, I think at that point in time, it was a period where there was great rabbis, there was a lot of writing, there was a lot of flourishing, Torah flourishing in of itself. And I think among the great rabbis at that stage in time was a rabbi named Rabbi Yonah ben Avram Girondi, a rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. And he was the author of various different great books. I think there was a sefer called Aliyot Rabbeinu Yonah, if I'm not mistaken, that from Rav. And so there were many, many great books at that point in time. And he would actually, I think, gather up a book, a Sefer Shitam Kubetzet of another great rabbi, Rabbi Betzal Ashkenazi, I think through his descendants and Rav Ephraim, respectively. Now, Rav Betzal Ashkenazi, if I'm not mistaken, was a great rabbi that lived during the 16th century, 1520 to 1594. He was a famous Shochet Rabbanan, a great rabbi in Jerusalem and in Egypt in that era, and was considered one of the greatest rabbis at that point in time. He was, I think at that point in time, he would be part of a cluster of group of students, including the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, I think was among, he was the Talmud of, was one of his Talmud, Rav Shlomo Adani, really great rabbis, and his rabbis include Rabbi Yisrael Di Koreal, really, really great rabbis in of itself, and lived among the generation of Rav Yisrael Najara, also respectively, that we have to point out. Okay, so that's just a side note over here, just to the brilliance, let's just say, in a bit. I think there were loads of different manuscripts of Rishonim that were made, and he would put comments on these different books, as we said before. He would write comments on Aliyot the Rabbana Yonah, and the Rabbi Betzal Ashkenazi's book, the Shitam Kubetzet. There were really, really great books. I think also, if I'm not mistaken, as stated what it says over here, Rabbi Yitzchak Nunish Blemonti, I think he would also have great work in himself. I think you find the writings in his house called the Maran Ziknei. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak Nunish, we actually recorded a video also about. He was actually born in 1710 and passed away in 1774, if I'm not mistaken. So there was a familiarity, let's just say, within regards to that. So we have to point that out. Yeah, I think it was Rabbi Yitzchak Nunish Blomanti was a descendant of great rabbis also that had great manuscripts in of itself. Now, it's actually interesting. The famous Chida is going to actually write and quote him, I believe. And write over here, Chida kotev alav, Rabbi Ephraim Ardit, Torah Gdolo Makom Echad, is talking about the greatness and the grandeur of the Torah, especially among Rabbi Ephraim Ardit. That's Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulay said, one of the great rabbis of that point in time. Now, it appears that his Hilula is the 15th of Tishrei in Heitaf Kuf Chavtet. That's around 1768, I believe. I think I'll state what it says in Hebrew over here. Ach yishna machloket legabei moed petirato, sheken b'matzavon nisham harav atzum kamo Ephraim Ardit zichrono livracha. Bet samach Mateh Ephraim, who was the author of Mateh Ephraim, Tetvav Tishrei, Heitaf Kuf Chavchet. Ach achenu, he writes, Rav Avram haspido b'tashlum shinato echad eseh chodesh b'chodesh av b'shanat Heitaf Kuf Chav. So it was obviously maybe potentially a different, maybe that was the date of his eulogy, or would write a eulogy of that point in time. And goes on, V'chen Rav Yitzchak Meyo Hespedo b'tashlum hashana b'yom aleph l'seder v'yira shnat heitav kuf chavtet. So there's different opinions. The Hayumi website will list it as if it's the 15th of Tishrei also, so we'll look into that inside a minute. So remember, Rabbi Yitzchak Meir will give him a hesped. He was a great rabbi, I think, of that point in time. Rabbi Yitzchak Meir, I think, lived between the years. I think he passed away in 1810, a significant period, maybe a generation after the other great rabbi did, or generation and a half. He was another one of the great rabbis of Izmir, author of different great Torah halacha books also, which we have to point out, the Sharashei Hayam most notably. And actually he was born in 1725, reported over, so he would have been about 85 years of age when he passed away, and wrote many great books, Darkei Pe'at Yam, the Shut Safat Yam, the Sharashei Yam, and various different other great books also, and was connected with many great rabbis, so that we also have to point out. Now, Rabbi Ephraim Ardit was a great rabbi. Much has been documented about him, and he was close to many of the great rabbis at that point in time. Now, his book, the Mateh Ephraim, was printed in Saloniki in Tafkuf Nun Aleph. What was this book, the Mateh Ephraim? It consists of Chidushim on the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam. It did various different shuvot and drashot, answers and sermons in itself on various different teachings of the Rambam and of his brother Rabbi Ephraim. And I think this book itself would receive haskama, appropriation, from Rabbi Chaim Modai, another great rabbi. I believe we actually recorded a video on him. He was one of the great rabbis of Tzfat and one of the rabbis of Izmir, a Dayan, a Posek, Shtuchei de Rabbanan, very great work. And also through Rabbi Yitzchak Ardit, another rabbi maybe we should speak about at a later stage in time, another one of the great rabbis of Izmir and the author of Yakir Ha'arech, respectively. And so that's very, very interesting. I think it was printed at the end of the book. It says, "V'shadfis b'sof pasif et meduro batra shel chelek orei chaim mispa yad Aaron lesabo Rabbi Aaron Alfandari." So if I'm not mistaken, there was a family connection with the famous Alfandari family, seemingly, of Rabbi Aaron Alfandari. Lived around the same time period as him, I think between 1701 to 1774, respectively, one of the great Rabbi Izmir, one of the author of the Yad Aaron and Merkebet Mishnah. And I think he was so great, he had connections. He was, actually, his father was Rav Moshe Alfandari, and very, very much was great, was very, very great family and stuff. But I think we actually recorded a video, if I'm not mistaken, on the famous Alfandari rabbinic dynasty of yesteryears that we have to point out also. So that's very interesting. So, yes, Rav Aaron Alfandari, yes, very, very, very interesting. Now, much more has been chronicled about him. So, Rav Ephraim Ardit reported over lived between 1700 to 1768, it was, around. So now we could add a bit more within regards to him. While he was young, he would work also in trade, as we stated before, as well as learning Torah and really making it his life to learn Torah, to grow in Torah, to get imbued in Torah, to serve Shemesh Keraba Shel Ha'it, to actually become the rabbi of the city in of itself, and wrote many, many different manuscripts of the great rabbis, especially using their material from Spain in of itself. The great Rishonim, he would actually write notes on them in of itself. As we mentioned before, the Aliyot, the Rabbeinu Yonah on Masechet Baba Batra, that book actually was. And Sofor L'Shitat Mukubetzet, as mentioned before, of Rab Betzalel Ashkenazi also, respectively. Now, the Hayumi website chronicles him that he passed away on the 15th of Tishrei over there. And I recommend everyone to look into the book, the Mateh Ephraim, on the Rambam, the Shvot, Drashot, respectively. And let's explore a few of the highlights from the book, from the Mateh Ephraim, using, once again, the notes of the Hayumi website over here. I think on the Shut and Drashot section, in page number 39, if I'm not mistaken, the second drush, it says, "Melamed li stalik minadin, shemaki ba'balei adin shehem remaim." This one teaching is another teaching. Melamed shelo alu alacha ela alidei masa umatan barabim. This very similar chidushim on the Rambam, that section in the Mateh Yehuda book. I think that very much comes from page number 37. And another teaching, Melamed tzchar ha'oseh va'maaseh le'olam shavim, shenotal tzchar ka'oseh. This is, I think, Perek Yud from the Mateh Ephraim, and part of the Shut, respectively, also. Another teaching. This comes, I believe, from the Shut and Drashot, the fourth drush, if I'm not mistaken, page 41. Melamed she'ein lechof ha'isha she'eino rotze lavo lebeit din. That's another one. Melamed shenotel tzcharo mushlam lefi ma shechai ba'olam. This actually comes from, I believe, page 42, from Drush Gimel. Another teaching here, last teaching for the day. Melamed lashon ilgim shemdabrim b'kinui she'en ikal lashon goyim. This actually comes from, I'm not too sure the page itself, but Perek Bet, the Kochvot, or the Mata Ephraim, also respectively. So he was a great rabbi of his time. He was one of the great rabbis of Turkey, from Izmir. We're already recorded on the series, probably estimatingly, maybe definitely comfortably more than 100 great rabbis that actually were from Turkey in that specific date. Altogether, throughout Jewish history. Remember, in those days, as we said before, the Torah community in Turkey was a bastion of the whole world. It was the main Torah center, and many of the great rabbis would, all throughout their lives, become very much famous and brilliant, and much of the Torah learning, because of the greatness of the yeshivot at that point in time, did very much come from Turkey. So that really imbued many rabbis. Now, friends, we're a community here. We are nearing 7,500 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. Please subscribe to the channel, friends, and join. At the moment, it's for free. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos that we're recording, please share these videos also to other people, and we'll go from strength to strength. Now, on that note, we are about to reach the festival Sukkot, just 1 day away, which is a phenomenal achievement. We've gone through Rosh Hashanah, we've gone through Elul, we've gone through Yom Kippur. Now, let's keep that momentum going every single day. Grow more, imbue in Torah more and more, and just progress at the highest rate possible for all of us, Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach, and really go from more to more. So very, very interesting. And please watch over. Also, on this series, we don't just record videos of great rabbis of yesteryear. We're exploring in a new series the history of the great synagogues that there might have been, the information about different countries, what were the different yeshivot inside these various different locales inside these vicinities. We're trying to explore, especially from the Ottoman countries, from North African countries, Asian countries, and so on and so forth, and really just imbue our history and our Jewish culture to a great degree, because there's nothing like the great Chachamim of yesteryear, their brilliant Torah wisdom. Nothing can come close to that in of itself. So wishing you well, Chag Sameach, and thank you for watching